Hi, this is Scott Marshburn with eCabinets Tips and Tricks. In this video, we're going to wrap up our user form that we're building that's going to allow us to import the different worksheets from the Excel workbook that eCabinets generates into our very own master workbook. Today we're going to be programming the Delete Selected Worksheets button. So let's get started with that. I'm going to go into my Visual Basics editor and I'm going to double click on my user form. Now in part 3 of this series, I showed you how to import the selected worksheets. All the code for that. The code that we're getting ready to do here is very similar, so I probably won't be going into as much detail. Make sure you go and you check out part 3 in this series, where I cover a lot of this stuff in a lot more detail. I'm going to double click on my button here, and that's going to get us started. I'm going to go ahead down here in our subroutine where we programmed the Import Selected Worksheets button, and I'm just going to grab the variables that we had set for those. I want to use the biggest part of those. I'm going to copy them and paste them right here. I'm not going to need the eCabinets workbook variables there because we're not going to be dealing with the eCabinets workbook in this case. So I'm just going to delete those. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off screen updating. And at the very end of my sub, I'm going to turn it back on. Now we can get started with our code. Before I get too involved, I want to show you what happens when you delete a worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I got all my worksheets in here first. And I'm just going to click on this cut list summary right here. And when I right click, I got an option to delete it. And it's going to bring up this message box here. And it's going to do that for each and every worksheet that you select and try to delete. And that's basically what we're going to be doing, is selecting the different worksheets that we want to delete. And when it gets to that worksheet, it's going to bring that message up. And I don't want that to happen. The only time I want to see a message is when I click this button. I want one message box coming up. Let me know that I'm getting ready to permanently remove all the worksheets that I have selected in this user form, and giving me a chance to either go ahead and delete them or not delete them. So first thing I want to do is bring up that message box. So I'm going to use my variable answer here to get my message box started. And that's going to be answer equals MSG box. And parentheses, and it's wanting a prompt, so I'm going to put quotes, and I'm going to go ahead and put my prompt in here. And that prompt is just basically saying the worksheets that you have selected will be permanently removed from this workbook. Are you sure you want to continue? Now, I want a message box that's going to really draw the user's attention. So I'm going to hit comma, and I'm going to use a VB explanation message box. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close off my user form and show you what that message box looks like, because even though it is, basically got you alerted here, you only get a couple of options. You got OK and X. So that could be a little bit confusing for the user. So what I want to do is I want to narrow down the possibilities of the user making a mistake. I want to use a combination of the VB explanation and VB yes, no message boxes. So I'm just going to hit plus and go ahead and select my VB yes, no. So let me show you what that looks like. Now we have two choices. We can either click yes or no. We can't even use the X. So we have to click one or the other. And that's basically what we want to do. Now I want a title, so I'm going to hit comma, quotes, and put my title in here. And in quotes. And my title is just basically letting us know that we're deleting the selected worksheets. And I got a few explanation points in there. Now, what I want to do next is I want to tell the program what to do if I click yes or no. So I'm going to say if answer equals VB yes, then we're going to do something, and this is a if then else statement. So I'm going to type the word else and enter a couple times and end if. Now I'm going to go ahead right here after my else there and tell it what to do if I click no. And the only thing I want to do is basically unload the user form and exit the sub. So I'm going to say unload me and exit sub. So that's what's going to happen if we choose no. Now we need to tell it what to do if we choose yes. So the very first thing I want to do is disable that message box that's going to want to come up every time it tries to delete a worksheet. So I'm going to say application dot display alerts equals false. And that's going to prevent that. Now, we've got that prevented. We need to make sure that we turn it back on or allow it, because if we do have a real true blue error and we don't do this, it's not going to let us know anything. So display alerts equals true. Now we can start a for next loop that's going to look at the different controls in our user form and see if it's a actual checkbox, and if it is, check to see if it's been checked or not. Now in part 3 I showed you how to go about doing that. What we got is, for each control and me.controls, and then I got an if statement. If type of controls is MS Forms checkbox, then, and then I have another if statement. Okay, what I'm going to do is basically combine these two together. It just saves us a little bit of typing. But before I do that, I need to start my for next loop. So for each CTRL in me dot controls and next CTRL. Now I can start my if statement. So if type of CTRL is MS Forms dot checkbox and CTRL dot value equals true, then I'll go ahead and say end if and tell it what to do. What I want to do is go ahead and trap the controls caption in our variable CBCap. So CBCap equals parentheses control CTRL dot caption and in parentheses. Now I need to set the variable here WS found, just like we did in part 3, to be false. So WS found equals false. And now I can start our loop that's going to look at the different worksheets in our workbook and check to see if that worksheet's name matches what we have in our control caption, our CBCap variable there. If it finds it, we're going to delete it. So for each WS in masked WB, next WS. So I do a if statement if WS dot name equals parentheses whatever's in the CBCap variable. Then end if, and what are we going to do? Well, we're going to set our variable WS found to be true. So WS found equals true. And we're going to exit the for next loop there. So exit for. Now right here after next worksheet, and before I get to there, I'm getting ready to make the same mistake I almost made in part 3 there. I forgot to tell it to look at the worksheets in the actual master workbook. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here where it says for each WS and mask WB and just type dot worksheets. And now after next worksheet here, I can go ahead and continue on. What I want to say is if WS found equals true, then delete the worksheet. So if WS found equals true, then end if there, we're going to say ws.delete, and then we're going to set that controls value to be false. In other words, remove the check from the checkbox. So ctrl.value equals false. And that should pretty much do it for everything. The only thing I need to do now is right here at the very end of our sub, before we turn application screen updating back on, is I need to go ahead and unload the user form. We're done with it. So unload me. And let's see if this thing works. I'm going to click on my button here, and I'm just going to select cut list summary first and delete that one. All that looks good. I'm going to click yes, and that worked. It's gone. User form's gone. Let's see what happens when we select several of them. We should only see that message box one time. Okay, it's asking me, do I want to continue? Yes, and that worked. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of them. And there you go. So that'll wrap it up for this little series. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe so you can get all my latest tips and tricks. And as always, thank you for watching and have a good day.